بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله وسلم عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Tonight we will continue in reading from the book, the explanation of the Shaikh of Bulooghul Maraam of Shaikh Uthaymeen rahimahullah. In the previous lesson we only took it was a complete lesson on reading from the book Fiqh al-Asma' al-Husna. So tonight inshallah we will only do a reading from the book of fiqh, which is Bulooghul Maraam. And we have reached up to the 54th hadith, and this hadith too, it is reported from Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi that he said, that Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu said, كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا توضأ أهدار الماء على مرفقيه أخرجه الدارقطني بإسناد ضعيف. The 55th hadith is reported from Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا وضوء لمن لم يذكر اسم الله عليه أو لم يذكر اسم الله عليه. أخرجه أحمد وأبو داود وابن ماجه بإسناد ضعيف. And the 56th hadith is also reported by At-Tirmidhi from Sa'id ibn Zayd and Abu Sa'id نحوه. Similarly, قال أحمد لا يثبت فيه شيء. And all of these are hadith, and we will mention first the 56th hadith, which is reported by Talha ibn Musarrif from his father, from his grandfather radiallahu anhu, that he said, رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يفصل بين المضمة والاستنشاق. أخرجه أبو داود بأسناد ضعيف. وعن علي رضي الله عنه في صفة الوضوء ثم تمضمض واستنشر ثلاثا يمضمض وينفر من الكف الذي يأخذ منه الماء. أخرجه أبو داود والنسائي. وعن عبد الله بن زيد رضي الله عنه في صفة الوضوء ثم أدخل صلى الله عليه وسلم يده فمضمض واستنشق من كف واحد يفعل ذلك ثلاثا. متفق عليه. So these are hadith, and we will mention them one by one in English as well. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the first one, that when he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would perform the wudu, أدار الماء على مرفقيه, يعني that when he washed his hands, that he would wash his hands with his elbows. And this hadith, as the author mentions, that its chain of narration, which is weak, but it is correct in terms of the meaning. So a person that when he performs the wudu, that it is a must that he washes his up to his elbows, ma'adhira, with the forearms, and it is a must that this washing includes his hand from the tips of his fingers up until his elbows. So after he washes his face, that he washes his hands, or he washes his arm from the start of the tips of his fingers up until his elbows, and then down again to the tips. The second hadith that is mentioned, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that there is no wudu for the one who does not mention the name of Allah. Yani alayhi, when he starts it. And this hadith is with regards to saying the tasmiyah at the beginning of the wudu. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said with regards to, in that which is narrated from him, لا وضوء لمن لم يذكر اسم الله عليه. يعني that when a person performs the wudu and he washes his face and his hands and he wipes his head and he washes his feet for the salah or for the tawaf or because he is going to touch the Quran or for other than that, that when he performs the wudu, then his wudu is not valid except if he says Bismillah with his tongue at the beginning of the wudu. But as the author has mentioned that this hadith is da'if, or its chain of narration is da'if. And Imam Ahmad says, لا يثبت فيه شيء, that there is nothing that is authentically reported with regards to it. And this is why the ulama have differed with regards to the tasmiyah, or saying Bismillah in the wudu, whether it is wajib or not. Some of the ulama, they say that saying the basmala, or saying Bismillah at the beginning of the wudu, it is wajibah. وَإِنَّ الْإِنسَانِ, and that if a person performs the wudu without saying the basmala, and he does this muta'ammidan, or on purpose, فَوُضُوءُهُ بَاطِلٌ, then his wudu is negated, it does not count. And others from amongst the ulama, they say that the tasmiyah, it is mustahabba, and if he says it, then this is more complete and it is better. Because this hadith, that even though it is da'if, that there is a possibility that it is sahih. So he says the basmala as a precautionary measure. And from the angle of afdaliyah, that it is better. And if he does it, then his wudu is more complete and it is better. And the Shaykh, he says, وَهَذَا أَقْرَبُ إِلَى الصَّوَابِ وهو اختيار الموفق رحمه الله وهو من أكابر علماء الحنابلة. Shaykh al-Albani brings the hadith, an authentic hadith with regards to saying the basmala, and it is upon this that some of the ulama, they say that saying the bismillah at the beginning of the wudu, that it is wajib. Some of the ulama, they mention a principle and they say that if a hadith is da'if, وَالشَّيْءُ مَطْلُوبًا فِعْلُ, and it is with regards to something that is required for a person to do. فَإِنَّهُ يَكُونُ مِنَ الْمُسْتَحَبَّاتِ, then we say that this thing is from the recommended things of the mustahabbat. لأن ورود الأمر به يوجب للنفس شبهة في صحته وتأثيم الناس بتركه. Because of the different ways it has been narrated, then it makes the person feel something with regards to whether it is correct or not. And also that if they leave it off, then the people are sinful. So if you don't say the mistake, if it is that the hadith is sahih, and you leave it off, then you are sinful. Because the hadith says that there is no wudu for the one who does not perform, who does not say the basmala when he performs the wudu. Because then your salah and your tawaf will not be accepted. والحديث ضعيف لا يمكن للإنسان أن يقدم عليه. أما إذا كان نهيا والحديث ضعيف فإنه يكون مكروها لا حراما. And a hadith that is weak, it is not possible for a person to give precedence over it. أما إذا كان نهيا, but if it is a prohibition and it is a weak hadith, then we say at the least that it is makruh, it is not haram. لأن ورود النهي وإن كان ضعيفا يوجب الإنسان شبهة في صحته. Because the narration of or how this affair is conveyed, even if it is weak, يوجب الإنسان شبهة في صحته, that it is a must for a person to have some doubt about the hadith. وتأثيم الناس بفعله بدون حديث صحيح, and also that he will say that the people are sinful if he does it, if there is not an authentic hadith. يعني بدون حديث صحيح يحتج الإنسان به عند الله عز وجل لا يجوز. So to use this as a proof in front of Allah, then this is not permissible. What is that? So when a weak hadith is narrated, that is a prohibition, then it is considered at the least makruh. So you cannot use it as a proof to say this is haram, the people left it off. فهمت؟ فيكون مكروها. وذكر هذه القاعدة ابن مفلح تلميذ شيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية في النكت على المحرر. That here one of the students of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Muflih, that he mentions this principle. And the Shaykh goes further and he says, what is important is that this hadith, if it is an authentic hadith reported from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, يطمئن الإنسان إليها, that a person is content with regards to it, with regards to the hadith. Then we say, إن التسمية شرط في صحة الوضوء. So if a person takes this hadith and he says it is sahih, then we say that saying the basmala, that it is a condition for the wudu. بمعنى that when you don't bring one of the conditions of the wudu, and then the wudu is not valid. And that whoever leaves off the basmala, then his wudu is not correct. وحيث that if it is said that the hadith is da'if, then we say that it is better to say the basmala when you perform the wudu. And if you do not say it, then your wudu is correct. So wudu sahih, and there is no sin upon you because saying the basmala is not wajib. And this is why you see that those who have described to us the wudu of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they never mentioned that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said the basmala when he performs wudu. Now, all of the other hadith we have taken, that there was no mention of the tasmiyah at the beginning of the wudu. Sahih? أما إذا كان في بيت الخلاء, but if the person is in the loo, فإن بعض العلماء يقول, that some of the ulama they say that he does not say the basmala. And if he wants to remember Allah Ta'ala, then he does it in his heart, فلا بأس, then there's no problem with this.
Although he did not mention the Bismillah, had he mentioned it inside?
He says it in his heart now.
And he before.
ومنها حديث طلحة ibn مصرف. And then we come to the hadith of Talha, and the hadith of Ali, and the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd with regards to the madmama and the istinshaq. Madmama is that you put water into your mouth and you gargle and you spit it out. Well, istinshaq is that you put water into your nose and then you blow it out. And this hadith is with regards to whether it is better to separate the two. Yani that he does the madmada first, once or twice or thrice, and then he does the yastanfir, and that he blows out his nose, or does he do the two together with one scoop of water? اختلف الأحاديث في ذلك. وأقرب ما يكون أنه يأخذ غرفة يتمضمض منها ويستنشق. So he takes one scoop and he takes into his mouth and he blows it out. والغرفة الثانية كذلك والثالث. So he takes into his mouth, blows it out. Yani that he takes with one scoop for his mouth and for his nose, and then he blows it out. So this is, the Shaykh says, غرفة وأقرب ما يكون أنه يأخذ غرفة يتمضمض منها ويستنشق. So he takes one scoop, puts in his mouth and his nose, and he blows and he spits out. Second scoop, same mouth and nose, blows and he spits out from his mouth. And the same for the third one. And this is the closest to what has been narrated with regards to what the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to do. And if he were to make the madmada separately, and he separates it from the istinshaq, but the Shaykh says, فَنَرْجُو أَلَّا يَكُونُ بِهِ بَأْسٌ, that we hope that there is no problem with that. And he ends off and says, لَكِنْ الْأَفْضَلُ الْجَمَّةُ, but the best is that he does the two together. The 60th hadith is from Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu. He said, رَأَى النَّبِيُّ صلى الله عليه وسلم رَجُلًا. That the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saw a man. وَفِي قَدَمِهِ مِثْلُ الظُّفْرِ لَمْ يُصِبْهُ الْمَاءُ. And on his foot there was a portion on his foot the size of a nail over which the water did not go. Yani when he performed the wudu, فَقَالَ إِرْجِعْ فَأَحْسِنْ وُضُوءَكَ. That go back and perform your wudu better. Or do your wudu in a better way. أخرجه أبو داود والنسائي. And Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, when he brings this hadith in Bulooghul Maraam, that the Nabi saw a man that had performed wudu and on his foot was the size of a nail, yani a portion that was dry, that he had not washed with water. And that Bulooghul is a very small portion. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he saw this very small portion of dryness on his foot, that he ordered him to go back and to repeat his wudu. Because it is wajib upon the person that he washes all of his limbs and he does not leave anything of those limbs. And he washes it completely. And Allah Azza wa Jal says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. That Allah Ta'ala gives us this order in the Quran, and He addresses the believers and He says, O you who believe, that when you stand for the salah, He says, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ, wash your faces and your hands up until your elbows. Wipe your heads and wash your feet up until your ankles. And if there is something, in the explanation of this, that the Shaykh says that if there is something that remains on any of these parts, then he has not carried out the order of Allah as it comes in this ayah. فَيَجِبُ عَلَيْهِ أَنْ يُحْسِنَ وُضُوءَهُ. And yet it becomes wajib for him to go back and to complete and perfect his wudu. And the benefits from this hadith, the first one is that it is compulsory for a person that he must include all of his limbs in the wudu and when he is cleaning himself. And if he does not do this, then his wudu is not correct. And as has been mentioned shortly, that he must repeat his wudu or washing that particular part that he hasn't washed correctly and everything that comes after it. Even if it is a very long time, or he says, if it is a very long time, then he goes back and he repeats his wudu from the beginning. So an example of this, a man performs a wudu and he comes out of the area where the wudu is performed. Then on his elbow, there is a portion that he has not washed. Here we say, wash your elbow correctly. So if it was on the right hand, wash your elbow correctly and whatever comes after that. So now you go and wash your left elbow, your head, and your feet. Because it is a must for the order or the tartib in the wudu. So he washes whichever part in which the deficiency occurred and that which comes after it. But if it is that there is a very, very long period of time has elapsed after he has performed his wudu, then he has to go back and perform it from the very start again. But if it is that he has performed the wudu and it is a portion of his foot, then he goes back and that he comes out and he's busy coming out and he's about to dry his limbs, and someone sees him and they say to him, you have not washed your ankle, for example. Then he goes back and he washes that foot on which the ankle was not washed and whatever comes after it. If it was his right foot that the ankle wasn't washed, then he washes that foot correctly up until the ankle and he does his left foot. But if it is a very long time, as we have mentioned, and his limbs have dried, فَإِنَّهُ لَابُدْ أَنْ يُعِيدَ الْوُضُوء مِنْ أَوَّلِ. Then he performs that wudu. It is a must that he does it from the beginning, because the wudu is a single, it is one act of worship that involves many different parts. That is why he must, or these washing them must be in a specific order. The second benefit is that if there is something over the skin that prevents water from reaching it, such as paint, or there is
oil,
dough, or there is grease or tar, like we have the black tar, if it's stuck to his skin, and whatever is similar to this, then it is wajib that he first removes that. And then he performs his wudu. If he does not do that, then his wudu is not correct. So if a person is painting in his house or something and there is paint that has landed on his hand or on his elbow or on his palm, and he performs the wudu and that paint is not coming off, or that paint was not removed before he performed the wudu, then this wudu is batil, it is nullified. So he must remove whatever it is that prevents the water from reaching his skin. And we see that nowadays, that many of the women, they wear what is called nail polish, or they wear even fake nails. We say that it is not correct to use this for the woman when she is pregnant, because it prevents the water from reaching onto the nails. And the Shaykh mentions, he says that some of the women, they say that someone gave a fatwa that this is similar to the khuf. They say that if it was placed when the person performed wudu, and the lady, she then put on her nail polish, then it is permissible for you to wash over it for a day and a night, or a night and a day. The Shaykh says, هذا فتوى غلط, that this is an erroneous fatwa. وَلَا يُفْتِيهَا إِلَّا جَاهِلٌ. And there is no one that gives a fatwa like this except that he is a jahil. Because there is nothing that is wiped over except the khuf and the jawarib and the imama, as we have mentioned, upon the head, as well as the jabira, or that which is known as a bandage or a plaster of Paris, also is another thing that is similar. That which is put over a wound or a cut. So all of these other things like the manakir or the nail polish and paint and whatever is similar to it, it is wajib for a person to remove that first when he performs his wudu. And this is so that he carries out and fulfills the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of the ayah, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا كُنْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ. The next hadith is hadith 61, and is reported from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, who said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ بالمد ويغتسل بالصاع إلى 5 أمداد متفق عليه. That he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would perform the wudu with a mud, and he would perform a ghusl with a saw up until 5 أمداد, up until 5 muds. And this hadith, reported by Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah, we see that the Sa'un Nabawi, or this measure, which is a Sa', that it is less than the Sa' that we have present with us nowadays. And this Shaykh is giving, in their area in Qasim, he says it is less by a thukth, bil-khums, وَيَزِيدُ قَلِيلًا, and it is just a bit more than that. And he says that our Mashayikh have mentioned to us that the weight of a Sa' al-Nabawi, it is 80 ريالا فرنسيا. وزنة الصاع الموجود 104 ريالات. That which was present, or which was in the time of the Nabi, was 80 riyals, and that which is present today, it is 140 riyals. And he says that this difference is about, as we have mentioned, a khums wayfaf, or it increases a bit. وَأَمَّا الْمُدْ فَهُوَ رُبُعُ الصَّاعِ. That a mud, as we have mentioned, that it is a quarter of a sa'. And if we look at these measures, then we see that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that he would be economical even in using water for cleansing himself. And this is one of the principles or foundations of being economical or sparing or being spareful in things. And this is a must, that a person is not wasteful with regards to things. Not in his food, or his drink, or his clothing, nor in his place of stay, nor in that which he rides, nor in other than that. Because being economical and not being wasteful, the Shaykh says, nisful ma'isha, that it is half of living. And if this was applied to the current situation of the people, that you would see very amazing things. Because many of the people, they are living in a state of wastefulness. Even the one who is poor, that if he doesn't find something, that you find him making a loan. And he makes it difficult, he brings hardship upon himself by taking this loan. And this is so that he may get things which are kamaliyah, they are not necessary things. They are not needs. That there is no need really for them, it's just something that he wants. Or he sees other people around him having something, so he wants it. For example, you find a poor person that he is living in a house that is not appropriate for him to be. But rather it is something way above his level that he should be living at. And to get there, what does he do? He takes up a loan. ثم إذا فرغ ذهب يجمله بالديكور والفرش وغيرها. Then when he has bought this house, he goes further in order to beautify this house of his. So he brings a lot of furniture in, decorations, lamps and lights, and carpets or tiles, and all of that through a loan that he has taken, that is now his responsibility. Or when he buys a car, that he buys a very expensive car, while he could have sufficed with something which is less than that. That perhaps he buys a car even and he buys it for 100,000, but he could have bought a car for 20,000, example. And it is not permissible for a person to take out a loan and he doesn't know if he will be able to settle that loan. And if the loan was something which our deen encouraged, that our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would have guided us towards this. Or we would have guided the man that came or sought from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that he must marry him to a woman. And he said to him, هَلْ عِنْدَكَ شَيْءٍ? That do you have anything with you, yani as mahar for the woman? And he صداقا, he said, عِنْدِي إِزَارِي, that I have my lower garment. And he says, وَمَا تَصْنَعُ بِإِزَارِكَ إِنْ لَبِسْتَهُ لَمْ يَكُنْ عَلَيْهَا مِنْهُ شَيْءٌ وَإِنْ لَبِسَتْهُ لَمْ يَكُنْ عَلَيْكَ مِنْهُ شَيْءٌ. So he says to him, and what are you going to do with your izar? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says that if you give it to her and she wears it, that you will not have anything on yourself to wear. He says, "Iltamis walau khataman min hadid." He says, go out and seek, even if it's a ring made of iron or a piece of metal. So he went out and he didn't find anything. So he said, "Ama'aka shay'un min al-Quran." That do you have anything with you of the Quran? Yani that have you memorized anything from the Quran? He said, "Na'am, suratu kada wa kada." And he says, this surah, that surah I memorized. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, "Zawwajtukaha bima ma'aka min al-Quran." That I have married you to her with that which you have of the Quran. يعني يعلمها إياها. That he must teach her that which he knows of the Quran. He did not say to him, what did he not say to him? Go make a loan from the people and place your neck under a loan that you have to pay back. And this is a proof that it is not necessary for a person to go and make a loan, but rather that he suffices himself with that which he is able to buy. And how do we see nowadays, perhaps not so much in our communities, but in other communities, where getting married will cost the people 500,000 up to 1 million or even more to get married, because they have to buy furniture, they buy what do you call that, a divider, they have to buy a washing machine and a tumble dryer, a dishwasher, and all of these things, or a kitchen complete with pots and utensils, and they don't even use it. Or this divider is there and it has in it pots and plates that never get used, it's just there for display. And this is from israf, it's from being wasteful. If you buy something and you are not using it. And similarly, you will find that some of the people, that when they are, for example, going out or they're having a lunch, and it is only he and his family, that he puts in front of his family so much food. And this food might be sufficient for 10 people, while they are only 4 people. That this is also incorrect, especially if there is left of that food and there is no one to eat. فَالْإِقْتِصَادُ كُلُّهُ خَيْرٌ. So being or sufficing yourself and not being wasteful, that all of it is good. Whether it is in the water that we use for wudu or other than it. نكتفي بهذا إن شاء الله.
Concerning about this, we can't think, subhanAllah.